Hello, my name is Paul, welcome to Geek Guru, and today I'll be looking at the P7C1 Pro, or Project 7 for short. The case is made by Aerocool, and it's actually an updated version of the original P7C1, which Leo reviewed back around December time. So let's see what they've actually changed about this case to justify the word Pro. The looks haven't changed that much from the original design, if at all. It's still a very aggressive oriented gaming design with a pointed top and bottom. So imagine a stretched out hexagon. The front panel is a metal mesh which allows you to see the 3 included fans as well as allowing for maximum airflow, which is great. Around this you also have an integrated LED strip which frames the fans quite nicely. Yep, pretty much the same as the original. The top panel has your I/O, which has your normal assortment of things, USB ports, power and reset switch, and audio jacks. And interestingly, a memory card reader as well, which I'm quite surprised about. Now there is a button missing here, which was present in the standard P7, but I'll explain why that isn't here a bit later on in the review. The rest of the top panel is basically meshed ventilation. If we move to the bottom of the case, we find air vents for the PSU with a removable dust filter. Now, to get to this dust filter is a bit of a pain because to actually remove the bottom panel, first thing you have to do is remove the front panel, then you have to unscrew the feet, then unscrew the bottom panel, then the panel slides off. That seems a bit of a hassle, and the dust filter isn't exactly of the highest quality, but oh well. So you're probably just best leaving it where it is anyway. On the bright side though, there's a dust filter located behind the front panel, slightly higher quality than the bottom one. The feet of the case are long and span along the bottom of the case. Now the feet overhang the sides of the case, which to me I don't really feel is necessary, because if you're going to go with a slightly slimmer tower, if the feet overhang you're still going to have a bigger footprint overall on your desk. Also, it kind of doesn't allow you to push the case right up against the wall if that's what you want to do. Also, the feet could have had a bit more reinforcement to them. I mean, the case won't exactly fall over, but the feet do have a bit more flex to them than I would like. Unfortunately, this quality issue follows the rest of the case. So the top and front panel also made out of plastic, which it feels quite cheap and is a bit flimsier than you think it should be. This was a problem with last year's design as well, which I thought they would change, but apparently not. But the main chassis is made out of steel, so at least there's that. What is high quality though is the tempered glass window on the side. Now they offered this with the original P7, but with the original P7 they also offered an acrylic window as well. But for the Pro they have forgone the latter and just offer a tempered glass option, which is a much better choice in my opinion. It's not too tinted and allows you to see all the components inside quite well. Just watch for those fingerprints. Okay, so what components can you actually put in this thing? Well, there's room for a 375mm GPU, or even up to 400mm with one of the front fans removed. Plenty of space there. And up to 165mm of height clearance for a CPU cooler. 170 would have been better, but I guess I wanted to keep the case design slim. For radiator support, we have space for up to a 360mm rad in the front, but only a 240 at the top. I say only because I've seen overall smaller cases where you can fit a larger radiator in the top position, and judging by the looks of it I reckon they could have squeezed in maybe a 280 mounting hole. Hard drive support is decent. You have two 2.5 slide-on mounting brackets on the top of the PSU. There's another 2 of these brackets also on the other side of the case, as well as a 3.5-inch hard drive cage behind the shroud, which can support two 3.5 or two 2.5 depending on your preference. This can be removed if you require additional PSU space or more cable management options. So on the topic of cable management, this case was average-ish. You have plenty of table tie hoops and a reasonable amount of routing holes for passing the cables through. Although like the P7C1, there is only one cutout for the 2.5 drives on the PSU shroud. Don't know why they wouldn't just add another, because if you want to add a second 2.5 drive here, you're going to have to run the cables across the shroud, which is less than desirable. Overall though, the case was simple enough to build in. My biggest annoyance though was the top panel. And the reason being is that the top I/O is built into the top panel. rather than the main frame of the case, which means taking it off is an absolute nightmare because you have to slowly feed the cables through to avoid damaging the cables. This makes mounting a radiator or fans very aggravating. And if you cable tied all the cables down, it will make it very hard to remove the top panel again, just in case you want to get access to the radiator, maybe switch it around for something else. You're going to have to undo all your cable ties just to pop the panel off. Not good. Now, I mentioned before that this case doesn't come with the LED button on the top I/O like the original P7 did. Instead, they've just adopted full RGB. So the 3 included fans at the front are full RGB, and the LED strip around the front is also RGB. I mean, the original P7 did offer changing colours between 8 different colours, but this one offers full RGB. So instead of a button on the top of the case that controls the lighting, this case comes included with an RGB hub, which can control 2 channels of RGB lights, up to 24 watts in total. It also acts as a hub to connect up to 5 PWM fans, up to 18 watts total, if your motherboard has limited headers. So once you've got everything installed, all the control goes to the software, which you just download off the website. The software is quite simple to use. It allows you to pick colours from the whole RGB range and 3 different effects such as breathing, pulsing, or always on. You can also adjust LED brightness and LED speed using the dongles. To apply the setting, you seem to have to click on the preview button. A bit weird that they wouldn't add a separate apply button or just rename the preview button as apply, because if you just change the settings and exit, nothing happens. Also, another strange choice is if you look below the brightness dongle on the software, you can see all the 5 fans that you have connected. You can see the RPM of the fans, but you can't actually change them through this software. You're going to have to use a third-party software or do it through the BIOS. So all it does is indicate what the fans are running at. I mean, I wish they would have just made it so you can control the fan speed through this, because the original P7 did actually have a fan speed controller, but this one is the Pro and it doesn't. Bit strange. On the bright side, you can rig up 8 of these hubs together and use a switch on the back of the hub to configure how many hubs you have. But if you've got to the point where you need this many RGB lights in your system, you might have problems. Installation could also be a lot simpler. You have to daisy chain the RGB fans and strips lights together. That isn't too bad. But to actually get the thing working, you have to connect a Molex, a PWM switch, a USB header, just to get the thing running. You can mount the hub anywhere there's space using the Velcro strip supplied with the case. I wish they would have just integrated the hub directly into the case to kind of make the whole, where am I going to stick all these cables, a bit more easy. And also, if you ever wanted to change the position, it would be a bit of a hassle reconfiguring all the cables. So, okay, so now it's time for the temperatures. I use the following system. I use my standard test of IDA 64 in Unigen Heaven running for 10 minutes simultaneously. I did 2 temperature checks, one with the fans at low speed and one with the fans at high speed. I did this because all the fans that come included with the case are 3 pins, so I couldn't really find a happy medium, so I just measured them both. So with the fan set to low, the hottest I saw the CPU go to was around 44 degrees, and the hottest I saw the GPU go to was around 66. With the fan set to high, the hottest on the CPU was 40 degrees, and the hottest I saw the GPU go to was 64 degrees. So there's a good amount of difference there, but the problem is the case does make a significant amount more noise when the fans are set to high, which is one of the reasons I wish they included PWM fans so I could find a happy medium. All of these tests were taken with a room temperature of around 19 to 20 degrees. So what do I think of the P7 Pro? Well, for aesthetic design wise, if you like the original P7, you're going to like this because it's virtually identical. So if you like the whole futuristic gamery design, then go for it. Me, I prefer something with a bit more elegance, which we're starting to see on the market now already. But beauty is in the eye of the beholder, so... But now, the main addition to this case is obviously the RGB fans, LED, and the hub. The hub is decent, it offers a nice level of control and is simple to use. I just wish it could control the fans' RPMs. Why? Temperatures, as expected, were great, like his predecessor was. seeing as the cooling design seems to be identical as well. There's a lot of air that can get through that front mesh. I just wish, for a case of this size, you would think you'd be able to fit slightly bigger radiators in there and a slightly taller CPU cooler if you need that space. I mean, I've seen, as I mentioned before, I've seen a lot of cases that are slightly smaller than this but can fit at least a 280 at the top. But you can fit a 360 at the front, I guess, and there's a lot of space for water cooling at the front. This case comes in two options, white and matte black. It currently sits around £111, which is a bit high in my opinion. I mean, the addition of the RGB lights and the LED strip must add a bit of cost. The hub actually retails for around £15 on its own, so that's not adding much cost. But I still think it's a bit high, especially due to the construction of the case. If they got the price to say down to £90, I reckon that would be a lot more reasonable and would make a better value proposition. So overall, it's a decent case. If you can get on board with the looks and the slightly not great build quality and the slightly annoying cable management, it will get the job done. My main concern really is that this case has all the same issues as the original P7 did, because for all intents and purposes it is the same case with added RGB-ness to it. I mean, you could even get a tempered glass version on the original. I feel this model just should have launched alongside of the original P7 as just a slightly more expensive upgrade. Now it's kind of trying to jump on that RGB bandwagon that everybody seems to be going on. But I guess having the option is nice. I just feel that this case needs to do a bit more to justify the word pro. So, thanks for watching. My name's Paul. Please subscribe to Keep the Guru and have a nice day.